Joining me right now via Zoom is Daniel Izu Eze. He's a movie director and a producer. We'll be talking about the magic behind Addictive series. We've had a whole lot of series movies. Papa Ajasco, um, This Life, Super Story, Z Words, and all the rest of them. So he'll be walking us through the magic behind staying glued to that particular series. Over to you, Daniel Izu. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
So, what, in your opinion, makes series truly addictive from the first episode?
Okay. This is probably supposed to be very interactive, yeah. So I would want to ask some questions. Have you ever watched something and you told yourself, "Oh, let me just watch one more episode." One more episode, and before you know it, you are like the day is gone, the day is far gone, right? Have you ever found yourself in that situation?
Like Super
Yeah.
Story.
Oh yeah, like super stories, like the series that we watch and enjoy, right? These things are not is not it's not something that just happened like that. Hooked. You were hooked, and this hook happens with the very first episodes, right? The very first episode you watch, there is a magic behind how the directors, producers, writers, craft this thing in such a way that once you watch, you get hooked, and from them on, you keep on clicking the next episode until you are done. You don't even want to finish the series because once you finish, you are expecting the next season. Yeah. Um, now episode one in creating a story that would a series that hooks. Episode one is very important. It decides whether the viewers would, lean in or switch off their laptops or their TV or their phones and just move on to the next thing available for them. Right? It is not just about starting a story. It's about starting an obsession. That's what episode one is about, right? And a mentor of mine would always say that if you want to create something very compelling and very hooking, you should find a compelling character, a very relatable character, somebody you can see in your life or see in people, audience can see themselves in that character, very relatable character. Put them in a compelling situation, right? And then every other thing promises.
All right. So, can you walk us through the whole process that comes with creating series that keeps us hooked or glued to our screen?
Okay, so the first thing is starting with the idea. Yeah, I mean, ideas are like channels, right? You have ideas everywhere, and that's the first place we start with. You start with the idea, and now depending on how much time you have to create the size of your team, most of the times for me, uh, after having come up with the idea, we do some form of pitching. Now, these ideas can be originally from you as a producer or a director, or you can even have somebody, um, you know, sit down and workshop. Like one of the series I made recently, I had group of writers together in a room. I think we were in that space for close to 4 days brainstorming on different stories, and we came up with different stories and worked on them, and then we go on to pitch these stories. Now, but this is just the story idea that we have, right? Now, when you find this idea and you have an idea, the next thing is to find a producer or find an executive producer, somebody who is willing to sponsor that. Now, in my own case, I had African Magic, who I pitched the story to, and they liked the story, and I was given a slot to produce it. So they sponsored, and now when they greenlighted the story, I then had to move to the next phase of development, and that next phase of development has to do with getting writers together to now work on these stories. right? So it is not just me having the idea and write and scripting it. I think I had about 5 persons in a room sit down together, worked on the story, and having worked on the story, they wrote breakdowns for the script. We looked at it. Oh, this wasn't good enough. Let's get back to the drawing board. Let's change this. Oh, if this is like this, the story is planned. Let's add this to it. Let's add that. And gradually, day by day, different um components of this story starts taking shape, right? You start looking at angles, you start looking at triangles, you say, oh, I mean, there's no story without love, right? Then you get somebody to talk about, look at the characters, look at your main characters, and you bring about the love triangle in the story, or the love angle of the story. You write that about them. Then you also look at your main cast, your main person, your lead character. What does he want? Majorly, sometimes you ask yourself self in when we start developing concept, you're asking yourself, what does the main character want? What is stopping him from getting that thing that he wants? What's stopping him? What are the obstacles? How much of that thing does he want? What's the passion? What's driving him? What's the force driving him? And then you also ask yourself the payoffs. How do we know that he has gotten that thing that he has gotten, right? So these are questions that we answer while developing the story. Now, if we're able to answer these questions properly, then most of the times it is sure that we would be able to give you an interesting show.
All right. So, are there certain formula or structures that you believe works best for addictive series? For instance, we have Z Word that literally cause problems in homes nowadays because of the kind of movie they tend to produce and all that, right? And of course, I'm not a movie director or a producer, neither am I an actor. So I want to know, are there certain storytelling formula that would actually give somebody that addictive vibe to stay hooked or glued to that particular channel, to know what is going to be the end route of that particular movie?
Okay, so there is no particular style to making a film or uh, making this stuff's content. Most of the times, the things that you actually think would blow people's mind don't eventually do that, right? Now, but
Okay.
these are some of the things that we should note. The first and foremost, you mentioned Z word. If you understand your audience, now what Z word does is that they understand their audience, right? And they know who their target audience is. Z word
Okay.
targets the women in the house most of the times. If a man is watching Z word, maybe 60-70% of the time a lady drew him into watching it. He
Actually.
like, yes, do you get? So
Yeah.
they target the women, and then what do they know that ladies would love romantic stuffs, drama, domestic dramas and all that. And so they target this audience, and they make this in quantum for them, right? And that's why Z Word is selling, because Z Word sells from the home. It's TV, right? It's for the family. And once you're able to get the mom to like a story or to like stuff, it is almost 80% sure that everybody in the house will eventually watch it. If you don't watch it by choice, you will watch it because she's watching it, and there's nothing else to watch. So you probably will stick around until the show is over for you to go to your other show. So
Yeah.
that's what they have done. Now, if you look at their model, what have they done? They have picked relatable
Okay.
stories that you can find relatable to your situation, your environment. Maybe not environment this time around because they are Indians and here we are Africans, and then it's like that. But they picked up relatable stories, and these stories are what people sit down in the house, to watch because it is TV. Now, if you look at Netflix, you look at some shows that sell in Netflix. If you begin to watch some of these shows, you see that they're a little bit of action and adrenaline pumping shows, right? Because these are binge worthy shows. Now, for the Z word, the mother at home who not necessarily, but most likely don't really have so much to do, at while she's watching that, she could, go from one episode to the other, even if they drag the what do you call it? Even if they drag um
The scene.
the suspense, a scene is
Okay.
happening and you see a particular thing from different angles 10
Absolutely.
times, and then you are seeing
Absolutely.
it, you sit down and you say this thing doesn't make sense now,
Exactly.
right? But you just have to watch it because they have hooked you emotionally. So the techniques they use, whatever they do, once you are caught emotionally, once you begin to feel for a particular character, however they tell the story doesn't really matter. Do you know that sometimes you find yourself watching certain things online, you scroll through certain things online, and these things are shabbily made. They no technicalities involved. The picture qualities are low, the resolutions are bad. But then, because you were told, or from the beginning when you start watching, you see somebody who is going through certain thing and you are praying for that person to succeed. So you always want to watch to the end so that you will find out if this person succeeds or not, right? So that is the
Yeah.
hook. That's the hook of the story. And
All
that
right.
is what they use often to keep you glued to the screen.
Okay. So, like, how much of the addictive factor is planned versus the movie of something that organically happened? Because we've talked about Z World. Let's talk about
Yeah.
series like Super Story, right? They keep you
Yeah.
in that suspense. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
how much of the addictive factor that will make you, oh my god, I can't wait to see the next series by tomorrow by 7 p.m.?
Yeah, so some of these things are actually planned, right? Beyond the fact that we know that sometimes you plan. They say man proposes, God disposes, yeah. So beyond the fact that we know that sometimes you plan and then it doesn't come out the way you have planned, most of these things are planned, and it starts from the writing. It starts from writing, the moment when you're developing your concepts and writing. Most of the times we plant in certain things at certain points of the story, to so it's like you strike it and then later on it pays off, right? So from the beginning, when you're writing, you find a way to make sure that every episode leaves the audience asking questions,
Okay.
right? You finish an episode and you're asking yourself, I want to know what happened to Jide. I want to know what happened to Ugonna. I want to know what happened to Chidinma or Kachi or Olusegun. I want to know what happened to this character, right? So these things are planned from the get-go. Writers put this in the script when developing the script. So from episode one, let's say from episode one, you find out that, Jide sees, or Nduka sees somebody. He sees a guy just passing and looking at him. He's wondering, what is this guy looking? Why is this guy looking at me? Then he decides to go on a quest to find out why the guy is looking at him. And then he follows on, and in his quest, he doesn't know that the guy has trapped him by that look. So he's following the guy, unknowing to him, he's walking into a trap. Now, you are concerned for Nduka, who has followed this guy just inquisitively to find out why is he looking at me, and he has entered the trap. Now, by the time he gets into that alley, maybe somehow we would have showed you, the audience, that this road, by the time we are filming it or the way it's written, this road, there are some bad boys at the end of the road. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we make Nduka, the character, go through this road, right? We make him go through this path. And then you, the audience, are saying, no, 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 no. Nduka, don't go that way. Don't go that way. There are bad boys there. There are bad boys there. You keep following. By the time, before Nduka gets to those boys, we end the series that day. Would you
Yeah.
want to watch the next season, the next episode? Why would you want to watch the next episode?
Because I literally told Nduka not to go through this road, and he did, and I know something is going to happen there.
And then you are wanting to find out if Nduka is able to pass this way
Or not.
without being or not, right? And then the way we also plot it is we plot in such a way that at the end of that road, after Nduka passed those bad boys, there's something. What he wants is at the end of the road. So somehow you want him to cross it, but then you are scared for him because you know that there are dangers on the way. So you are interested, you want to know, wouldn't the car cross this to find this gold at the end of this tunnel, or would he just go back and maybe think of something else to do? That way we build the suspense, and when you build suspense into your story that way, people want to always come back to watch the next episode of it.
All right. Daniel, to end, right? To end the
Yeah.
conversation, what role do you think audience psychology play in this kind of series movies? You just give an example of Unduka going through these routes, and I
Yeah.
myself am shouting that he shouldn't go through these routes. What role do
Exactly.
you think psychology play in series that keep you addicted on your TV?
So now the thing is, for entertainment, right? I think that in as much as there is psychology to it, I think that entertainment is much more of an art form, right? And storytelling is a beautiful art form that, when beautifully crafted, you are glued as a person. Like, for instance, the story I just told you, I haven't thought of anything, right? I just thought of my techniques of hiding something at the end, putting danger before this end, and giving my character a goal to pursue. Now, that way, the psychology that comes into this is that you, as an audience, I show you that there is light at the end of this tunnel for this character. But before this light, I show you that this character desperately needs this thing. Yeah. And then I show you where that thing is. Then I tell you, that way I place it in such a way that, oh, for this character to get this, he has to pass through this. And then it's basically life, because sometimes for you to get what you want, you have to go through a journey, right? And this journey comes with its hurdles, right? So now I'm able to engineer everything together to make you know the end result.
Okay.
Wish that the actor is able to find this end result, but then I create the fear in you. I make you feel what the actor is feeling. I bring you in the how do I put it now? I bring you in the space for the actor to feel that thing. Now, this is the thing. You start a series, right, with your first episode. That's your hook. You use your first episode to hook them, right? But that's not what keeps the the series interesting, because if you have hooked them in the first episode, you need an entire series engine. You need an entire plot to keep them coming back every day, to watch the next episode. And this plotting is what you we sit down to actually give thought to and craft. It is not, you don't just it's not something that just come off that way. A lot of stories are beautifully told because it was well plotted. And when I mean well plotted, is knowing when to put the suspense, knowing when to reveal something, knowing when to keep something in the shadows. And it's beyond just writing, it's also in the directing of it, right? When you're directing, knowing when to suggestively put something in this in a scene, that at the end of the day the audience will say, oh, this was why he
It
did this
happened.
thing,
All
right?
right.
So
Thank
you
you. Thank
place
you
it
so
and
much,
then you
Daniel
reveal it.
Izu Eze. I had great time having this conversation with you because I'm that citizen that get glued to a particular series. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I'm sure you had a great time having this conversation too.
Yes, I had a great time, and if
Okay.
you permit me, I would love to tell you that my shows are coming on African Magic if the audience
All
want to
right. All
watch.
right. Thank you very much.
Yes.
We'll get to talk about that on WhatsApp after the show.
All right, all right. Thank
Okay.
you so
Yeah.
much.
The show has come to an end, and I'm sure you had great time with interesting stories and conversation that got you glued to your screen. Enjoy the rest of your day. Follow us on all the social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I remain your baby girl, Queen It Wilkunta. Thanks for watching.